News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow.
We begin with the latest on the deadly shooting spree in New York City. A gunman shot and killed 4 people before turning the gun on himself in a mass shooting at the epicenter of American finance, a building that houses the offices of the National Football League. Bloomberg's John Tucker joins us from Manhattan with the very latest. John, good morning.
And Nathan, security camera footage at 345 Park Avenue shows the shooter double park his black BMW, enter the lobby of the 44-story dark glass tower with an assault rifle. He turns right and immediately opens fire on an NYPD officer. He then shoots a woman who took cover behind a pillar and proceeds through the lobby, spraying it with gunfire. He makes his way to the elevator bank, where he shoots a security guard who is taking cover behind the security desk. NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
He goes up to the 33rd floor, which is route and management, and begins to walk the floor, firing rounds as he traveled.
Mayor Eric Adams identifies the murdered police officer who was in uniform working security as 36-year-old Didaral Islam, married with 2 young boys and a pregnant wife.
He's an immigrant from Bangladesh, and he loved this city, and everyone we spoke with stated he was a person of faith.
Jessica Chang was attending a presentation on the 2nd floor with over 100 colleagues when they heard the commotion. Her first instinct was to text her loved ones.
Texted my parents that I love them. I texted people good in my life that I love them. We were honestly really scared.
Well, 345 Park Avenue is home to Rudin Management, the investment company Blackstone, KPMG, and the National Football League. A Blackstone employee was among those killed. ESPN reports one NFL employee was seriously injured. And now law enforcement officials tell Bloomberg the gunman was targeting the NFL, but ended up on Rudin Management's floor by mistake. The shooter's identified as Las Vegas resident Shane Devin Tamara. He was found dead from what's believed to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and his social media feed showed he had a football career that ended after a head injury, and he wrote that the NFL didn't do enough. He has a documented history of mental health problems. He previously worked as a security guard at a Las Vegas casino and held a concealed carry permit for Nevada. In New York, I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
Now let's get the latest on the trade talks. Nathan, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is sounding optimistic that the U.S. and China will be able to extend their trade truce another 90 days.
They're talking right now, but the decision maker, of course, is President Trump. I'm sure the people who are speaking with China are going to go discuss with President Trump how he wants to play it. He's got an excellent relationship with President Xi, and I think we'll leave that to Donald Trump to decide how he wants to do it. Is that a likely outcome? Sure, it seems that way, but let's leave it to President Trump to decide.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick spoke to Fox News. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is leading a delegation in a 3rd round of talks with Chinese officials. That's set to wrap up today in Sweden. Meantime, the president of Taiwan appears to have canceled an overseas trip next week after the Trump administration failed to approve his stopover in the U.S. Sources say there was growing concern that Lai Ching-daw's visit could derail the China talks in a possible summit between Presidents Trump and Xi Jinping. On Truth Social, President Trump denied he was seeking a meeting with Xi, though he said he could go to China if the president invites him.
Now, meanwhile, Karen, the trade agreement that the European Union just struck with the U.S. is facing mounting criticism. The deal would slap 15% tariffs on most EU exports, while the average duty on U.S. goods should drop below 1% once the deal goes into effect. We get more from Bloomberg News executive editor Paul Dobson.
It does seem like as people considered this deal, they detected that there were some weaknesses within what the European Union had conceded in order to get it done. So, yes, having some sort of a deal removes that risk of escalation, but it also sort of takes away the bargaining chips that the authorities had to try to drive better deal in some parts of the business world.
Bloomberg's Paul Dobson reports the U.S. and EU are working on a non-legally binding joint statement by this Friday, then would start work on a legally binding text. An EU official says that could take time. Those kinds of trade accords usually take years of negotiations.
Well, Nathan, there may be a mega rail deal in the works. Bloomberg News has learned Union Pacific is near an agreement for a stock and cash deal to buy Norfolk Southern that would value the smaller rival at about $320 a share. Their price would represent a roughly 23% premium premium to Norfolk Southern stock before the first reports of a potential deal this month. If completed, this would be the rail industry's biggest ever tie-up. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moscow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.